ReefDudes is sponsored by Ecotech Marine and Bulk Reef Supply.
Today we're getting an update on the Waterbox 7225. What's going on, guys? Devin from ReefDudes. Now, it's been a little while since I did an update on the Waterbox, and to be honest, things have been coasting a bit, but let's get to it. Now, there's been many things on my to-do list for a while. You know, this gold hammer's fallen over multiple times, my Gorgonian's fallen over, so I'm actually going to glue these to some bigger little frag plates and make little bases to prevent this. So all these little things have been on my to-do list. And again, I know I've been saying this every time, but things are definitely getting overgrown. You know, if we look at this millie beside it, you can see all the dead tips on it from the torch constantly tickling it. Like, the things are just getting too overgrown. And one of these days, I will actually frag it. I know I keep saying it, but it's really got to happen sooner or later. You know, even the top-down view, you can see how much of the torch is growing into the millie. You know, and all those little tentacles are just tickling it on the side. So it's, by tickling, it's pretty much taking it out. So there's lots of random die-off on this guy. From multiple angles, kind of feel bad from the massive torch colony. But even the Gonnies, look at this. You can see all the die-off on the bottom there from all the tentacles, like tickling the bottom of it. So they're stinging it constantly. So stuff just needs a good thinning. And I do love that grown in look, so it is a bit of a shame to have to cut stuff, but again, when stuff's just killing each other, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do at some point. Absolutely love those top-down views. Now again, as always, it's not all sunshine and roses. My Bally Green Slimer, you can see I've had a bit of die-off on this one. Now this could be something else. You know, there's a chance, like I'm 90% sure that a lot of that is from the Gonny touching it. But at the same time, I did have some die-off at the base of my Green Slimer. You know, that could be a lack of flow just because it's, you know, a wall of corals and stuff before it gets to it. All the top half is nice and happy. Now this is almost at the water line. So I do plan on kind of hacking this off and probably re-gluing it down lower just to shrink it down a bunch again. Then it'll give me a chance to cut off those bits of die off on a couple of those branches and just shorten everything as a whole. Now some of the stuff at the bases could also be because I changed the lenses. So at one point I had the stock wide lenses and I changed it to the narrow lenses, which is not as good for light penetration on the base of coral, so there always is that trade-off. Bernardipora is slowly creeping over, taking that rock. It was its own little island. It's bridged over, now it's coming up here and starting to go over my rock. It is slowly taking out the zoas in that area, and I don't even know if I can separate that or not, but that might be another consideration at some point before it fully starts creeping up my rock. That might be the point of no return. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how much stuff can take over time. But some of the takeover can absolutely be beautiful. You know, even the rainbow clove polyps, that is completely filled in all kinds of random gaps. And see my little tiny bit of vivid confetti surviving over there, which is being consumed by clove polyps. So I should probably trim those back again soon. The Raja Rampage, this guy glued on a while ago and it's been slowly growing out, which is looking kind of nice. It's a really nice pop of color. Kind of rainbow clove polyps all over the place, so these might get a good thinning in the near future. Maybe I'll put some of my nano for fun, but they're definitely taking over. I still do want to try, you know, the angel food flakes type of thing with the fluconazole in here, just to see if it has any effect on some of my acros and if it improves anything, you know. But at the same time, I know it will take out stuff like clove polyps, so I would have to move out my massive colony of rainbow clove polyps before I get to that point. You know, even here, I think a lot of the stuff I'm going to have to go do a lot of hacking just to open stuff back up again. That's all going to be probably pulled out because I don't need it there. I'll probably leave at least one of these, maybe two of them, and take out the rest just for a good thinning. You know, it's kind of funny, even little chunks of stuff I've been finding. Like I got a little bit of a forest fire digi that was like hiding in the midst of something I didn't even know it was still in the tank, and found it, and now it's out on the base again. Couple rainbowy chalices that I really got to find a good spot for. Super pretty colors when you actually get up close to this guy. You got the reds, greens, yellows, purples, blues. So I got to find him a good home. One thing that I do regret not nipping a button a while back is all of these lovely minty bane of my existence zoas. There's about 5 or 6 on there. Of course I ignored them and now they're taking over that rock. So I almost might have to go in here with calc paste or something and just go to town on it and kill all those back before they fully take over the rock, which is a little bit of a bugger. And of course the Gonnies, absolutely love them, but you know, as they're tickling and stinging all those other corals, it's starting to make me wonder if I should start hacking these back again. and make them a bit smaller. You know, maybe throw some into the Naya's tank or something else, which add a little more color to that tank and stop so much of this coral warfare. You know, same with this guy. Look how close it is. And he got little bits, not overly touching it, but there's probably a couple dead tips on the bottom there. Other interesting thing is too is my grafted Monty. You can see it's starting to cup, which is kind of cool. So usually in higher light it will cup and spiral up, and in lower light it'll plate out. So I guess just being, you know, relatively close to under the radions there, it's getting enough power that it's starting to cup and spiral upwards, which is kind of a cool look. I did take out that rock that was in there with some of the rock flowers. I did throw a couple of those into the nano and took that out. This plate, if I'm looking at it, you kind of see the parts that are more shaded and less flow have all the polyps out, and the stuff in high flow has them all retracted. So it's probably a better view to see it from the side. But you can kind of get an idea of that. So I'm going to move that guy more underneath the rock and see if it brings all the polyps out and see if he's a bit happier in there. My poor overhang is absolutely overrun with those Mitizoas. Not quite sure what to do with that one. I think it's, you know, sadly is what it is at this point. But one of these days I might try and see if I can find a way to pull them out or eradicate them. Little bits of kind of subtle coral warfare going on here, as I can kind of see the Favia and the jack-o'-lantern are starting to do their thing. This guy's really cool for a low light coral. It's hiding underneath here and it's super duper bright orange and vibrant yellow eyes, and you know, it's growing in the shadows and it's been pretty happy considering its environment. Another chunk of a cool rainbow chalice in there. He's looking pretty nice. I gotta find a better spot for these guys to actually show them off better. Space Invader Pectina, this guy's pretty cool. He has actually been, for a while there, he was kind of thin and not puffy, but now he seems to be puffed back up and happy again. So don't know what I changed, but he definitely seems to be doing a little bit better now. My alkalinity, my dosing, my pH was pretty low for a while, so I did start to take some efforts to kick that back up again. You know, got our massive utter chaos colony just taken over here. I got a rainbow clove polyp that started here, worked its way up. You know, this Duncan colony is absolutely massive. I should take it out and frag some. I do half wonder though if I'll actually be able to get it out of that crack at this point, or if it's there for life. You know, and it's still been on my to-do list to frag some of the stuff like Orange Setosa. Like you can see it's all dying off. There's tubid enemy that's in there, and it's, you know, stinging off, making its own little hole to get light. But there's all these little corals I can't even get to because they're so encrusted in everywhere. Now if we take a look under the hood, still rocking the Geo's Reef calcium reactor as my main. And that's dosing, I believe, about 15 liters a day. On top of that, I have 100 mils a day of Alpha Reef being dosed. And I recently did add on some hydroxide again just to boost my pH, and I think I'm around 30 or 40 mils a day of that. So this tank has been sucking back alkalinity like crazy lately, so I have to keep upping my dosing. The sump area is a little bit on the shamefully dirty side. I do got to clean this up. Got the NP on top, got my refugium over here. At some point I do want to take my sump offline and just run citric acid through and get it back to pristine. When the lights are on, you get to see its algae and so much stuff caked on there, and it would be nice to get it back to that pristine, glorious sump again. Skimmer wise, I have been skimming a little bit wetter than normal just to see if that will bring my nutrients down a little faster. I do chronically have higher nutrients, so that's one thing I've been dabbling with, just to see how much of a difference a wetter versus a drier skim makes. And with the frequent alkalinity top offs, I actually just have a jug here, so I go bloop and dump a little extra in once in a while when required. On the auto tester front, have been playing with the little AquaWiz, super cool little device, especially for like tests for basically free, and that's been doing hourly testing, which is kind of fun. So it's been helping me tweak my dosing a little more accurately than I have been in the past. Fish wise, no real big changes in the tank. I don't think I've really added or changed the fish population here in quite a while. You know, if anything happens, I do kind of want to get more smaller fish, so if, you know, at some point, you know, I may look at rehoming some of the bigger guys and do some more smaller fish, but probably would help with the nutrient situation. But otherwise the tank seems to be doing pretty happy. That's a lie, I did add a cleaner wrasse a while ago. This guy's pretty cool. I had one years and years ago, and unfortunately at one point he jumped out. Despite having a lid, he somehow found a crack. I think one of the covers are off. So I finally was at the LFS a while ago, and there wasn't there, so I grabbed one. Even though I was just in there, you know, adjusting stuff with my handies, and they're trying to clean my arm. So these guys are always super cool fish. And I did pop the top off just to give it a good rinse with the garden hose, get all the salt creep off and get her back to pristine. Give the glass a good clean. That was kind of my inspiration to shoot a quick video as I was cleaning up the tank. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this update on the Waterbox 7225. If you have any questions on it, as always, let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this, be sure that like button if you're new, make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next update.